Greetings, mortals. Today we'll be going through irae. It is a visual novel that I have heard of, but have yet to play. So let's jump right into it, as we do. May the 1st, 1945, Berlin, Germany. 12:27 a.m. Now this is something you can headbang to, mortals. Listen to this. The closing act of the Second World War was the manifestation of total war, such as had never been seen before. No, the term carnage would have been more appropriate. Outmanned in every way, Berlin stood in complete isolation, slipping towards the crevice of annihilation. The nearly 500,000 troops marching under the banner of the Red Army had already surrounded the capital, making escape virtually impossible. Guns roared, mingling with the screams of the dying and an incessant cacophony of terror as the city was razed and its people massacred. Bloodshed, carnage, all in order to eradicate the enemies of the world, be they young or old, man or woman. Justice, revenge, love, peace, oppression, liberty, equality. The slogan one chose to attach to the horror made little difference. The chaos engulfing the bloody streets demonstrated quite readily the atrocities that would manifest when man was presented with a convenient higher cause to justify them with. Yes, this is the dark side of humanity. Yes, for example, in this corner of the city, a blinding light flashed, followed by a roaring explosion. This latest bombardment sent even more soldiers, at least 3 whose silhouettes were still recognizably human, to their deaths, spreading their remains across the pavement. Letting out a loud curse, a man leapt out of the trenches with a Panzerfaust in hand. An anti-tank weapon. Protected by the covering fire of his allies' Schmeissers, he dashed over into effective firing range. I should preface that I do not know how to pronounce German. I'm terrible at German pronunciation, so that may become a problem as we proceed. He rose to his knees, took aim, and pulled the trigger, firing a heat warhead. I actually don't remember what heat stands for, but it seemed, I'm pretty sure it was really cool. The projectile shot forward, smashing right into the flank of the tank. Its armor dissolved in accordance with the Newman effect, and the tank imploded in a torrent of liquefied metal and 1,000-degree flames. We will have to look into what the Newman effect is later. The man tossed aside his Panzerfaust and, backed by his comrades from behind, started cleaning up his remaining foes with his Mauser. So he switched to a pistol side. I guess he couldn't carry anything larger than a pistol while he was carrying the Panzerfaust. Such was war. It allowed no time for idle thoughts. Yes! Yes! Only slaughter, murder, and bloodshed. Yes! Yes! This is it! No man could keep his sanity in this hell. And so the perpetrators of this chaos howled and raged, never looking back, reveling in boundless insanity to keep their blood afire. Within this flaming wasteland of gunplay, soldiers single-mindedly continued their murderous dance as if it was some ungodly ritual. Of course, in reality, it was all but child's play. Soldiers against soldiers, rifles against pistols. No matter how fiercely they fought on this battlefield, the outcome of this war was already set in stone. The Third Reich had crumbled, the ambitions of its visionary leader lost in the flames of war. What remained on that tattered battlefield was the shaken remnants of the defeated, and the mob of victors flocking like vultures to the smell of decaying flesh. This is all preamble, this is a lot of preamble. Certain death. Inescapable defeat. Any attempt to retaliate was merely a self-serving act of revenge, with no hope of salvation. Well, when you're pushed into a corner like that, you feel like you must. I can understand the feeling of, well, I lose either way, so I might as well. The situation had surpassed anything that might elicit notions of despair, transforming into no more than an absurd comedy of sorts. And yet, bloodshed, yes. His heart beat still. His hand gripped steel. He would not stop as long as there were enemies to kill. For it was his sworn duty. If there existed even one thing, anything at all to justify this hellfire, be it sheer insanity, then that by itself would have been a blessing in disguise. Honor and glory, debased and disgraced, worth less than pig shit, and yet human life remained the cheapest currency. That was reality. Is this all that's left of... Oh, I don't need to read that. It's being read already. After wiping out all leftover foes and regrouping with his comrades, it dawned upon the man that there were only 3 of them left standing, himself included. The company tasked with protecting this block had been completely annihilated. The Sitchin mortals. The situation was anything but promising, and still more enemies were on their way. The young man flashed a bitter smile as he handed over his Schmeisser to the other. The older man glared at him, but offered no more in the way of reproach. The war is lost, indeed. That was the bitter truth of it. Berlin had fallen, the company massacred, and the remaining 3 soon to join them. Are these, will we see these characters later, I wonder? The Master Sergeant, Walter Gerlitz, directed his gaze at the final survivor of the company, a young boy who had thus far remained silent. Well, that's not a voice I would have expected from a German soldier. The boy, eyes darting as he failed to hide his shock, was even younger than Joachim, barely in his teens. Well, that explains it. If Walter had a son, he might have been around the same age. Oh no. Poor Marco. Walter was about to ask what a mere child was doing there, but ultimately swallowed his words. It was a foolish question. The enemy would show no mercy to them, not even to children. The reason for it was very clear. They were the bitter enemies of the Red Army, the despised members of the Schutzstaffel. Even if they were to surrender, the Soviets were doubtlessly uninterested in taking them as prisoners. As such, fighting until their last breath was the only option left to them. Walter was certain that Joachim was ready to give his life for the fatherland. The boy, on the other hand... Joachim shed his disaffected act, the bitter tone in his voice making his true position on the situation clear. War is hell, mortals. War is hell. He would never surrender. Yet even if he gave his life in the battle to come, the outcome of the war had already been decided. Nothing could change that, least of all, himself. With this defeat, their fatherland and their descendants would. A single soldier was powerless to alter the great current of a war. Joachim tried to express his dissatisfaction with that reality as best he could, while Marco silently listened. Well, that's them done. Yep, that's the sound of guns. Oh, no. Several rifle shots echoed from their left just then. They weren't hit. Walter and Marco just barely managed to duck into cover, but Joachim was not so fortunate. His head was shot clean off by the first wave, followed by an entire volley of bullets being unloaded into his chest. 1 down, 2 to go. Pelted by machine gun fire, Joachim's body contorted in a queer manner almost reminiscent of some form of dance before finally hitting the ground. An anticlimactic finale, indeed, for the youth who had only moments prior expressed his desire to fight to the bitter end. But such was the reality of the situation, the reality of war. There were no heroes here, no messiahs or miracles to save them, only men dying like insects. And should one allow his soul to be overcome by wrath or despair when confronted with this knowledge, it would serve only to invite the jaws of death to consume him next. The chaos of war would not tolerate idle thoughts. Knowledge of one's duty was all that was necessary. As Walter rolled into the safety of a ruined building, he shouted the name of his lone surviving comrade with all the strength he could muster. But instead of words, the sole reply he received was yet another flash followed by the fiery explosion. The upper half of the young boy's body was flung at Walter's feet. The cramped alleyway was heavy with the stench of blood and scorched entrails. Walter powerlessly dropped to his knees into the vast sea of blood. Well, this is just a bit overkill. Even I am not so brutal, mortals. Even I am not so brutal in how I dispatch my enemies. Marco smiled, even as the last embers of his life faded away. It was unbelievable someone could still form words in a state such as this. Walter took the boy's hand. I wonder if we can turn down the background music, because it's great to headbang to. Config. Sound setting. If we turn down the BGM volume, we'll be able to hear the voices more easily. Alright. How's that? Let's go. One could argue that a monster is in the eye of the beholder. As the gunfire continued, a brand new tank rolled onto the battlefield. Marco Schmidt was beyond help. Not even God could save him now. And so Walter's rightful place was now on the battlefield, his hand clutching a gun and not the hand of a dying soldier. His ears lent not to the naive parting remarks of a boy, but straining to hear the breathing of his enemy. Yes, he must become a beast. He must become a demon. For no purpose at all but to do so. Yes, it is awesome sauce. This is some pretty brutal stuff, Boogalooweed. You know that better than anyone, and yet... Ah, yes. This boy is taking away Walter's power to become a demon. This is sentimentality. Will it save him or will it doom him? We don't know yet. It's still a bit... I mean, he is dying. I guess we'll see if another character sounds so quiet compared to the noise, the BGM. Joachim, Walter, and so many other German soldiers just like them had done nothing more than take up arms to protect their fatherland and loved ones. Was it that truly a sin? Surrounded by the flames of the dying capital, the young boy spoke in a mere disjointed fragments, voicing a question Walter himself would have loved to pose to the heavens above. Yet after mere seconds of doubt, Walter answered curtly. Oh, now this is an interesting quote. I think it tells you a lot about Walter. Waging war is no sin. Losing a war is. It seems he does subscribe to that to the age-old adage. The winners write the history books. The losers will be painted as demons. Such was the way of the world. A cruel, bitter truth. Yes, it's quite pessimistic. Walter found within himself a growing resentment for the Lord. Poor Marco. Marco Schmidt then quietly passed away in Walter's arms, the man gazing up at the heavens. The young soldier smiled in death, albeit tainted with blood and mud, still held traces of boyhood. He was not yet a man. A bitter smile mirroring Marco's crept onto Walter's face. Yes. You cannot give up. One cannot give up. There are some things one cannot give up on. His words might have seemed the ramblings of a lunatic beset by the armies of death, but they were more than that. Walter cocked his Schmeisser, confirmed if it was loaded, then charged out of the ruined buildings into the open. This is it. He'll meet his death. He unconsciously let out a battle cry loud enough that it threatened to rend his throat. Would he end up gunned down like Joachim, or share the same fate as Marco? It hardly mattered anymore. Either way, he'd merely die a miserable death, befitting this miserable war. His mind was occupied by such despaired thoughts. In no way could he have predicted what was to come next. Well, this is interesting. Voiced in Japanese, written in English and Latin. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Pater noster, qui in caelis est, sanctificator nomen tuum. I butchered that. I'm sorry. I should read Latin. I shouldn't read Latin, mortals. But what is this? Grant them eternal rest, O Lord, and may everlasting light shine upon them. It was his soldier's intuition that drove Walter to reflexively take shelter. Hello there, big boy. It's good to see mortals tuning in. I understand that visual novel read-alongs might not be popular, but I do want to give this a crack. Oh! Oh! I can't believe it. His vision was drowned out by a blinding white light and an explosion so fierce it dwarfed all previous bombardments. An explosion that seemed to rip apart the very heavens. Walter realized that this explosion was far beyond the level of any weapon that could have possibly been employed in urban warfare. What in the world had happened? The city he had literally staked his life to protect had been reduced to a charred wasteland. What is this? Did this happen? Although it was quite a while for Walter to regain his sight and hearing, there was still not enough time for him to make sense of the situation. Part of him wondered if it was all a sick joke. Only one thing was clear. Both his allies' corpses and the encroaching enemy troops had been annihilated. No bombing raid could have inflicted such immense damage, and though Walter managed to survive the attack itself, his resulting wounds were deep. What is this? What happened? Who attacked? Was it the Russians or the Germans? Pieces of steel and concrete blasted in his direction by the explosion had pierced his back and flank. Oh, shrapnel. The hand that had once held his Schmeisser was blown off from the elbow. It wasn't even worth the effort to attempt to discern the number of more minor injuries. His incessant bloody vomit told him that he had also suffered severe internal damage. He would not make it. You knew, Walter, you knew you had no chance, but what is this? Walter saw blindly, no longer certain of the target of his indignation. Just then, the voice from before rang out again. Hear my prayer, O Lord. To you, all flesh shall come. Return unto thy rest, O my soul, for the Lord hath dealt bountifully with thee. It was a requiem offered up to fallen soldiers, one sung in a beautiful voice. Not even a prestigious church choir could produce a melody quite this dignified. What is this? What is going on? Yet at the same time, the scorn seeping into the voice was all too evident. Is this some sort of battle saint? Only upon the eve of the apocalypse itself could such a voice be conceived of as an angel's. It sung of the dead with scorn, ridicule, and mockery, deriving the utmost pleasure in trampling upon every last remnant of the dignity they possessed. The voice of a destroyer, intoxicated by mayhem. This was the product of a black mind, possessed solely by an inhuman malice. What is this? What is it? Grant them eternal rest, O Lord, and may everlasting light shine upon them. This is a cruel joke. And so, stepping onto the vast expanse of debris, the destroyer appeared, that demonic requiem at his lips. Who are you? This is the first time we shall be seeing a character. Who are you? I honestly thought it was a woman's voice. That's why I said it was a battle saint. But no, it's a young boy. Lacking in years, even in comparison to Marco, with a face so delicate that of a careless glance could easily mistake his features for those of a girl's. A single look at the boy was enough to give Walter chills. His teeth began to chatter. Where were you for the rest of the war? Although he had lost a considerable amount of blood and his vision had grown hazy, the reason behind the freezing chill at his back lay elsewhere. The sheer enmity and bane radiating from the boy's visage indeed contributed to that. But to Walter, the most dreadful thing was the fact that he knew that face. There lived no man who had fought on the Eastern Front and knew not of this boy, so he has been involved in the war before. A beast, possessed by insatiable hunger, his aberrant mind ruled by inhuman madness, his single eye gleamed, silver locks swaying. He gripped a pair of guns, each engraved with a wolf's angel, the rune of the wolf. Or it's German, so it would be Wolfsangel? Wolfsangel, or something like that. There was no doubt it was a face Walter could never forget. The face of the boy who had supposedly died 3 years ago. Major Schreiber, it looks like. Eastern Front Assault Corps, Special Unit Leader, SS Major Wolfgang Schreiber. An unchained beast that had slaughtered both friend and foe, the ashen demon that had supposedly met his end during a purge. How could he be standing here? So, is this a flash forward? I thought it was going to be taking place before the story, as a sort of prologue. But they're talking about events even earlier. Hardly the words one would offer a dying comrade, especially one whose death was most likely caused by Schreiber himself. The boy flashing an innocently devilish smile in front of Walter was no doubt the very same person he remembered. And yet his armband bore not the swastika, but a different symbol altogether, almost as if he were no comrade at all. What is this? Fair enough. That is the way of a soldier, I suppose. The boy playfully surveyed the landscape. It was proof enough of his statement. And what followed was nothing short of unnatural. Something akin to opaque vapor erupted in their vicinity, like a fog or a haze. Those are ghosts. At the same time, Walter's senses were assaulted by a dreadful moaning. Yes, it's ghosts. The cursed cries of the fallen, fated to suffer and lament until the very end of time. Yes, the endless chorus of lamentation caused even the seething air of the battlefield to cool. These were the spirits of the dead. Walter felt like he could almost make out the faces of Marco and Joachim among the swirling mass, as well as the destination towards which they were spiraling. Straight into Schreiber's Totenkopf eye patch. He was devouring the very souls of those he had slain. Confronted with such a repulsive, unworldly spectacle, Walter could not determine whether he should give himself over to rage or simply weep. He longed for the repose of insanity. Take off to where? Schreiber, seemingly done with his meal, wearily turned his neck to Walter. He was breathing his last, not in any condition to spill blood like a soldier should.
今さら連中の100や1000を殺したところで何も変わりやしないけどね。でもだからって何もせずに黙ってる必要なんかどこにもない。見なよこのベルリンを。全くひどいありさまじゃないか。
Even if you're content with this or not.
僕らの求めた千年帝国の終わりだなんて。誰が納得するって言うんだよ。
Regardless of how content you are, you can't change what's going on. Content.
できないよね。
Walter threw a piercing glance at the smiling boy. Indeed, no one in their right mind would be content with such an outcome. He'd had friends to call his own, a family to go home to, a woman to love. He cherished this country. All that became tainted due to Germany's defeat, dishonor that no centuries could wash clean. That was...
許せないよね。薄汚い劣等ごときが我が物顔で帝都を蹂躙するなんて。女や子供や年寄りを犯して殺して吊るすなんてさ。総長、忠勇なるドイツ軍人バルター・ゲルリッツ総長殿、君の気持ちを聞かせてくれ。君は一体どうしたい？
I have a feeling I know what the answer is going to be. He wants to get back in there. The amount of blood leaking forth from Walter's mouth made speech difficult, but his feelings were set. Joachim, who vowed to fight till the bitter end, Marco, who wished for victory, their feelings as well as his own. The boy standing before him was unmistakably from the fold of the devil, but such things mattered little at that point. What he wanted was... victory. Yes, we want victory. Victory, honor, and glory for the fatherland. To bring peace for his friends and family that had fallen. To bring prosperity for generations yet unborn. And above all else, for his very own soul.
ジーク入る。そうさ総長、素晴らしいよその息だ。君のような勇者にこそあの方の血肉となる資格がある。戦争は終わらない。僕たちが終わらせない。何度でも何度でも何度でも続けて続けて続けて続けて。
Repeat it. Are they going to turn World War II into a time loop? Grant us victory.
掴むまで。共に行こうじゃないか。無限に続く戦場へ。
An endless battlefield. That sounds like... well, it sounds like hell. We shall claim victory in the next war. If not, in the one after that, hundreds and thousands and millions of battles repeating over and over again, till this outcome can finally be toppled. Schreiber thrust his Mauser in Walter's direction as the last light of the man's soul began to fade. Grant them eternal rest, O Lord, and may everlasting light shine upon them. His requiem was one of scorn for the fallen, pregnant with malicious intent, and yet Walter thought it was beautiful, like the song of an angel. It was then that he finally realized that this was the apocalypse. Ah, because earlier they had said that only in the apocalypse could you mistake the voice for that of an angel, and he just did and realized, yes, this is the apocalypse, this is the end of all things. This is the proverbial Ragnarok. And that he would soon join the ranks of those marching to destroy the world. He would become a strand of the beast's mane, one of many in his legion. Okay, so hold on. If I am understanding this correctly, mortals, this is my theory so far. My theory so far is, I'm not sure if this is accurate, but I think that the Nazis may have summoned the devil. Satan, Lucifer, whatever you want to call him. I think they may have summoned the devil, somehow. The boy gazed to the heavens and offered up a splitting crackle, his silver hair dancing. Yes, it is very edgy. It is delightfully edgy. One must take care not to cut themselves on this edge, mortals. Like, are you seeing this? This is crazy. This stuff is crazy. Who would say stuff like this with a straight face? Who would write it? The soul of Walter Gerlitz was sucked into the boy's blood-crazed eye and vanished. At the same time, in another place, a new nightmare was unfolding. Oh, who is this? An entire battalion of at least a dozen tanks had failed to bring down a single man. Who is this man? I want to meet him. I could take down a battalion of a dozen tanks, but for someone else to do it, that's very impressive. For a mortal to do it, incredible. No, an entire battalion of tanks was being destroyed by a single man. Yes! Yes, this is my kind of individual. In the center of the supernatural maelstrom stood a somber specimen of a man, darker than the blackest of nights. Beneath his neatly worn uniform stretched a body of steel trained to the utmost limit. A perfect fusion of the sort of artistry found in the great sculptures of antiquity and raw martial prowess. The man wielded nothing, not even a short blade. He fought with his fists alone. I can respect that. That is a good way to do it. I do that a lot. But they were all that he needed to sunder the armor of a tank as if it were nothing more than scrap paper. Mortals, are you seeing this? This man is punching tanks. He is beating up tanks. This is incredible. Needless to say, no mere man could hope to imitate this display. Indeed, he was a monster, or if not, a weapon taking human form, a fortress upon the battlefield. Either way, the Soviet forces were dealing with an inhuman soldier, a being exceeding human boundaries. Furthermore, the towering beast of a man had yet to so much as attempt to evade any of the artillery fire being leveled upon him. Even after being pelted by countless bullets and tank shells, his body remained unscathed. Like me! This man is like me. If you shoot me, I will not die. A bullet will not even... It will barely scratch me. This man is like myself in that regard. Yes. Excellent. However, that was only natural. Of course it is. Of course it is for someone like me. For everyone knew this man, this strength, and his name, knew that he was a hero who had died a year before. What is it with these superhuman heroes of the Germany in World War II coming back to life right at the end? And what was dead could not be killed. Oh, they're zombies. Somehow, maybe. The man let out a deep breath. His overflowing will melted the surrounding rubble into toxic waste, blasting it afar with a gust of burning wind. His tightened muscles expanded to their extremes, as if longing for release. A hammer of steel. There existed nothing in this universe that could withstand the blow he was preparing to unleash. The energies gathered in his fists gave birth to refraction, causing the very visage of the man to distort. But as the man finished swelling up with energy and was about to unleash destruction, His fierce concentration suddenly let up, just as it was about to reach critical mass. No, what are you doing? Don't lose your focus, you're about to totally destroy things. Do the punch. Almost as if something had ruined his mood. Ah, is this one of those types of characters where they're very strong but also very fickle? You can't rely on them. Perhaps he had thought the panicking soldiers, having lost their morale, were not even worth killing. Oh, hello, Aripa. You're not interrupting me. This is a read-along. You guys are reading it with me. If you guys have thoughts about this story, I want to talk about it with you as we're experiencing it, because so far it's great. Then, had those soldiers miraculously escaped the jaws of death? Of course not. Of course not. What? Of course not. What sort of a man do you think this is? He will not let them live. He will not let them live in even the slightest. Oh, the hunt, the yacht. I played a bit of Magikoi, and there's a character that says yacht a lot that I really like. So I still can't say it yet, but I'm familiar with yacht meaning hunt, and Jaeger is hunter. What in the world could surpass the thrill of the hunt? What indeed? The song of the cruel huntress echoed across the night. A scorching wave of pure flame passed by the man, devouring the soldiers, burning them to cinders. Oh, will this be our third character? This was clearly no ordinary weapon. Its destructive force far exceeded the power of Molotov cocktails or tank fire. It was more akin to a pulse of concentrated energy from a nuclear blast. As impossible as that seemed, than any urban weapon. I forget if nukes had been unleashed at the time of the fall of Berlin. I'm not familiar with the dates of how everything went down in World War II. I think it was. I don't want to say. I don't want to say what I think it was because I will look like an idiot. Otherworldly screams of pure agony reverberated throughout the war-torn battlefield, now engulfed by a sea of flames. The soldiers, assailed by the instantaneous burst of fire, had evaporated without a trace, but the hate-filled screams of their souls rang out into the night. This was the same phenomenon that Schreiber had conjured up just a moment earlier. Oh. Hello. Oh, I'm sorry for skipping you. I'm sorry for skipping you, madame. It was uncertain for how long the woman had been standing back to back with the somber man. Her tone was grim, and bereft of joy, her visage deep crimson. Her swaying hair the color of fresh blood and hellfire, like mine! Like my hair. My hair is the color of fresh blood and hellfire. Look at it. Yes, these are like these characters are on my level. They're on my level. She would possess a certain calculating beauty were it not for gruesome burn marks covering the left half of her face. As such, her visage evoked only a grim awe born from a marriage of the fair and the repugnant. I will bet you, mortals, right now, that she has so many fans of people out of the people who have played this game, that she has so many fans. They don't care. They don't care about the scar. Yes, the hair is quite swishy. I updated the swishiness of the hair. Well, I did that a while ago, but it used to not be as swishy. Gracefully letting forth a puff of cigar smoke, the woman posed a question to the man at her back. No answer came. Oh, could it be? Could it be, mortals, that this tank-destroying man has been holding back? If so, this man is the most impressive. Truly the most impressive. No one could be blamed for mistaking the Crimson Woman's words for those of a lunatic. No sane person would speak as if they were capable of destroying the entire Red Army surrounding Berlin on a whim, but these people probably are. The Führer is dead. Oh my, oh. Mortals. Are you... Mortals. Actually, I will actually make the... sound setting. There we go. We do want to be able to just tell me if the sound is like too low or something like that, but I want to be able to hear, and I want you guys to be able to hear the voices, since apparently this has good voice acting. But I think this means that these superpowered German heroes, they stopped. I think this is implying that they are deliberately letting Germany lose World War II in order to summon the Ark of the Covenant. Which is pretty metal. Yes, this writing is incredible. This is some deep stuff. The man finally spoke. And also, who is he? And also, who is Mercurius? That is another question. Silence again. The man has failed to answer. The woman narrowed her eyes, her haze, her gaze heavy with suspicion, before letting loose an exasperated sigh. Oh, I accidentally skipped you, madam. I'm sorry. I can't wait to learn who all of these people are. Because we don't know yet. We know basically nothing at the moment. I can't believe there's already some infighting between these people. We barely know them. This is what happens when you have a bunch of powerful individuals all gathered together into a single group. There's bound to be some friction and some tension. Obsidian Round Table. I forgot to narrate this, but she lifted her head to look up at the sky. Meanwhile, up in the Berlin sky, tainted by blood and fire, taking form through the carnage of the capital, was a tremendous swastika. So is it made by? Is it made of fire? Is it made of? Is it just? Is it just a? What form? What is this swastika made of? Is it skywriting? A man stood atop the towering spire in its center. Mortals, I will be honest. I may have slept through a few history classes. Did this happen or not? Her booming voice echoed in the ears of all living men in the city of Berlin, as if through some sort of sorcery. At that very moment, all soldiers ceased their fighting, all children dried their tears, and all elders stopped their flight. Each and every soul in the city gazed up to the sky as if possessed. Its deep canopy was tainted by the blood and fire of the city below, boiling as if it was some sort of cauldron. The Berlin Himmel. On the very day of the 1,000-year Reich... Oh, sorry. I said of, where there was no of. But on the very day the 1,000-year Reich crumbled to dust, a devil of blinding light descended from the heavens. Are we going to see it? Are we going to see it, mortals? Who are they? They're looking fab. His locks like a floating mane, golden in colour. His regal gaze, equally golden. It was the gold of splendour, of brilliance surpassing creation itself, beauty mingling with heavy solemnity, yet at the same time beastly in hue. A being that should not exist in the realm of man, the harbinger of beguiling light. At his side, a man with features vague and twisting as the darkest of shadows. He was garbed in the plain robes of a hermit, with ambiguous features that made it impossible to discern his age. A yin to his yang. The two of them existed on a level far removed from that of any being gazing up at them. They were the monsters whom even the monsters feared. Actually, I think I'm gonna hold on 1 second. I'm gonna just pop myself up a bit so that I'm not quite so in the corner. There we are. Number 1 and 13 of the Longinus Dry... Hold on. I'm going to butcher this and I'm sorry. Number 1 and 13 of the Longinus Dryzen Orden's Obsidian Round Table. Its leader and vice commander. Gazing down at Berlin, no, the entire world, the man of gold began his speech. Fate, you say? The chains of fate are hard to break, yes, that's true, but... are their entire lives? Now this is good. This is good. Nobody would say something like this if they weren't about to say, hey, I'm going to offer you a way to break fate. Then it would be a sad and unkind world, obviously. They're about to do something big and supernatural. This is a grand speech. Wait, are they saying that the world is already on a time loop? Is all of everything just been hyperbole, or is the world already looping? Oh my god. I just realized, I think my ability to recognize voice actors is not that great, but I think that this man of gold, right here, I think he may be voiced by Archer from Fate Stay Night, who is incredible. I think that might be the case. The voice acting in this game is so good already.
それを口惜しいと思うか否か覆したいと思うか否か
Yes, yes, turn the tables, bring about an unwritten future. This is the hardcore stuff. The man's grim words reached every soul residing in Berlin. Nothing awaits you but eternal suffering, eternal defeat. The people of Berlin could not deny his claims. The Golden Beast's proclamation rang out with the urgency of the trumpet of the final judgment. This was a man possessed of a supernatural charisma. Utilizing extreme conditions in order to manipulate the will of others was hardly a novel trick in and of itself, but the sheer scale of the man's performance here warranted deeper scrutiny. His voice possessed a magical quality, capable of penetrating the very heart of all those who heard it. The best comparison was to the cries of dragons from the ages of legends. A juggernaut of a voice that would not fail to ensnare any mortal. Well, it is a good thing then that I am not a mortal. Wait, mortals! He hasn't ensnared you, has he? Mortals! I hope you're all okay, mortals. I hope you haven't been ensnared by the Golden Beast. And the being that possessed it was certainly no mortal. What did I say about these people being my kind of people? They aren't mortal either. The Golden Beast, the Black Prince, the harbinger of beguiling light, the monarch of destruction. Every word that passed forth from his lips was saturated in magic, and that's that. And you know it's real. You know this is legit magic, because it's magic with a K, not magic with a C. He gave the command. If you wish to overcome your miserable lot in life, then offer your very soul. Oh no, you were ensnared. You were ensnared. Oh no, fight it. Fight it, mortals. I believe in you. I believe that you have the willpower to overcome this. Believe in yourselves and fight off the magical effects. The willpower of humanity is limitless. If you long to wash away the stigma of the defeated, take the pen and sign the pact with blood. It was the temptation of the devil himself. The Golden Monarch looked down upon the lesser beings crawling upon the earth and posed a question to them. The answer was all too evident. Grant us victory! Grant us victory! Sieg Heil Victoria! Oh, hello, T4N3. It's good to have you. We're reading DOVA-SYNDROME. And it is metal! A deep fissure ran across the man's perfectly beautiful face, to conjure the words of Dr. Faust, his features portrayed by the uncanny equilibrium of a genuine smile and a grotesque sneer. Mephistopheles, the harbinger of beguiling light. Is this guy just straight up Mephistopheles? The name of the wicked fiend that could grant a man's every wish in exchange for his living soul. Is this actually Mephistopheles, as in the demon that as in the demon that goes to Faust and is like, I'll give you this deal. I'll give you this deal with the devil. Like one of the original Deal with the Devil stories. That's Mephisto. The moment those ponderous words left his lips, the unthinkable happened. All men with guns in hand took them to their mouths. Oh no. Mortals? Mortals? Don't agree to this. Don't agree to this. Okay, shoot me instead. I'll be fine, I won't die. But don't agree to this, to Mephistopheles' pact. It's a sucker's game. All those wielding blades thrust them deep into their own chests. Those without armaments plunged themselves into the hellfire still raging around them. Guns roared, steel drank blood, men plunged to their deaths, suicide unfolded on every street corner. Like I said, metal. Oh, you're a big fan of the composer? I'm not sure if I've heard the composer before, but currently this soundtrack is so good. I was headbanging from the very start. Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands rush to their deaths with abnormal haste, their souls being absorbed into the Golden Monarch. It was an insatiable holocaust engulfing the entire capital. This could not have been the first time. He had consumed countless souls in the past. Was this, then, the final ritual necessary to complete his task? A grand sacrificial altar, stained by the blood of soldiers and countrymen who had looked up to him as a savior, begging for salvation. Oh, that's a bad idea, looking up to a demon for salvation. In all its grimness, in all its cruelty, all its terror, it was.
美しい
This truly is an apocalypse. To find such a sight beautiful. To find such a sight beautiful, honestly.
まさに悲劇あなたをした
this must be the second person.
者たちがあなたのせいで死んでいる
This is the person next to Mephistopheles here.
自らの力へと変えるだろう我が友私がこの滑稽な人生でただ一人畏敬の念を抱いた獣ども
This is an interesting character type. I like character types like this. When he says, "My dear friend, the one and only beast I found worthy of respect in the comedy of errors that is my life," I feel this implies that he is one of those characters that lives to serve another character. They can be done well, they can be done poorly, but they're a very interesting character type because they often serve with such fervent zeal. The shade of a man who had remained silent until now finally spoke.
あなたは一体何を求める
Ooh.
愚問だな
Yes, that is a foolish question. Obviously he wants the souls or he wouldn't have absorbed them.
法則の破壊と超越私に道を示したのは K だろうもっとも他に個人的興味がないでもないが
This man, whether he be angel or demon or mortal, or whatever he may be, if he is human, if he is demon, if he is from the heavens, it doesn't matter. What he is attempting here is incredible. He wishes to break a law governing the universe. Well, that's an incredibly high feat.
それは一体
法則を作ったもの
なるほどすなわち
God, or perhaps the devil. This man wants to punch God in the face. I can get behind that. The shade chuckled, its lips gleaming. Widening. Where did I get gleaming from? Strange. The demon in my right arm is attempting to confuse me with such things. But we must press on.
私は優秀な生徒を得て幸せだ。鋭美回答を正しく理解しているのはやはり現状あなただけか。
Ewigkeit? What's Ewigkeit?
いや素晴らしい。この瞬間だけは何度経験しても飽きが来ない。
Have they done this before? Like this one before? This specific fall of Berlin? Have they looped the timeline?
ええ、その名も置いていきましょう。いずれ必ず会えるはず。
Oh wait, do they simply... Have they just met in the past? Oh, could it be... so of course we're going to go to Japan because this is a Japanese visual novel. I knew it, this is all preamble. We're gonna find ourselves in modern Japan, I bet.
今回の契約であなたの魂は他に比類なき強度を得た。性質創造の思考を果たした以上、怒りの日までこちらにとどまる理由はありますまい。
For this plane?
クリストフのことも
ある。When did planes become involved? I thought we were dealing with time loops. Are we dealing with multiple planes of existence?
万全を期すために幾人
How many levels is this writing on?
無論元よりそのつもり
The
だ
other side.
ザミエル、シュライバー ベルリヒン
結構それは隙のない人選だというより
So this man and his the three people we saw earlier, they will be there on the other side. They will be there when we reach modern Japan, I think. The two men exchanged words in a casual tone, perhaps reminiscent of two chess players contemplating their moves, even as scenery from hell spread out beneath them. It was apparent why the two of them would have been seen as brothers. They shared a certain air of resigned enlightenment, as if they presided from lofty heights lesser beings could not dream of reaching. No tragedy, no comedy, no creation under the sun would move them. Their laughter was no mere sneer, nor their actions merely the result of a frozen heart. Rather, they were worn down by time itself, imbued with the uncanny aura of an ancient sage. Gazing up at the two of them were roughly 10 others in military uniform, standing completely unscathed within the decaying capital of agony that was Berlin. Well, that would make sense because I think this might be an Organization 13 situation where there's 13 or 14 special members of the Round Table. They were the fangs and claws of their golden master, and among them the three mentioned earlier surpassed even the rest. The Crimson Woman had tears of joy trickling down her face in response to the honor of being chosen by her golden commander. Her loyalty grew fiercer than ever. The silver-haired boy responded with sulk, lamenting the temporary end of his carnage. For the moment, however, he vowed to acquiesce. The somber giant stood silent, seemingly oblivious to all but the shade he fixed his gaze upon. Worry not, your wish will be granted soon enough. I would appreciate it if you would not glare at me quite so forcefully. Well, is this line going to be voiced or not? The spectre of a man grinned, amused by the giant's electrifying gaze, before turning his attention to the golden brother once more. So these two basically brothers are about to be separated.
いいな。成就させると誓うのだ。傍観するだけでは何もつかねえ。K の悪い癖だな、彼。
ああ、確かに。であれば、ここに誓いましょうか。
The Totenkopf Empire that had waged war against the world had finally met its end. Whether it be true or not, it is an oft-repeated anecdote that Nazi Germany, in possession of some of the world's most advanced technology during the time period, had dabbled in obscene rituals behind the scenes in a pursuit of the secrets of black magic. Yes, the Nazis had super advanced technology and a moon base, and also black magic satanic rituals, as we've just seen. What became of the demons brought forth by those experiments and all their diabolic relics? Their whereabouts would remain unknown, assuming they ever truly existed to begin with. Oh, and now it's burning away. And so, 6 long decades came and went. 60 years! That's a long time. Oh, here we go. It's a cutscene. November 29th, 2006. Mount Fuji, Aokigahara, Sea of Trees. 3:27 a.m. Well, we're right back in the Hellfire. We're right back in the Hellfire, mortals. I can't. We're just straight back in the Hellfire. They won't let us up for a moment, and the flames do nothing to me. I am immune to the element of fire. It is I have the most affinity with fire. But you mortals, you might want to put on the aircon, or get a fan, get some ice cubes, something, because the fire is just unceasing with this. The entire area was engulfed by crimson flames. A torrent of sheer energy had emerged from a nearby cave, mowing down trees and setting them ablaze. This place was a crevice in the fabric of space, a meeting point for the ley lines which spread across the earth like a net. Yes, this is magic! A lone man emerged from the cave. He wore a rosary and a cassock, signaling his status as a holy member of the cloth. Indeed, the warm smile playing across his lips was what one would expect from a man of God. Yet could a man, appearing in a place like this in the dead of night, emerging alongside an inferno, truly be a servant of the divine? I'm going to bet you dollars to donuts. He is not. And kneeling before him in servitude was a young woman with jet black hair. Her skin color and features clearly identified her as a native of this land, so she's Japanese. She spoke reverently, her face as expressionless as that of a statue.
ご無礼をお許しください。生産杯芸家バレリア・トリファ狩猟代行。あなたをここへお呼びしたのはこの私の意向です。自己紹介は必要ですか?
So his name is Valeria Trifa, Your Eminence the Divine Vessel and substitute to the Lord Commander himself. That's his name.
いいえ。レオンハルト、あなたのことは覚えていますよ。
Leonhardt?
キルヒアイゼン教の後を継がれた時は、
Then why is she Japanese?
まだほんの子供でしたね。
Have they reincarnated? Is that what's going on?
そして強くなられましたね。
Have the German super soldiers reincarnated as Japanese people?
恐縮です。
Or is it a code name? Unpleasant moaning could be heard echoing throughout the area. They were likely the souls of the men and women that had taken their own lives within this forest. The young woman paid them no heed, even as they continued to make their presence known. The priest, in contrast, inhaled them with affection, making them his own. Oh, this is like with when everybody killed themselves in Berlin. So they had a bunch of people killed. They took a forest where a bunch of people killed themselves, and they used it as a summoning for this guy. A blasphemous scene, an affront to all that was just. It was identical to the events of Berlin 61 years prior. See, this is what I was saying. Identical. Was this perhaps a continuation of what had begun that night? There's narrator. Narrator. You speak to an enlightened being of great power. We both know that this is a continuation of what had begun that night, because we are continuing from what had begun that night. We've moved straight from there to here. It's the same story. It's all continuing. A priest with a voice that sang each word. Before him, a young woman offering nothing but the humblest of words. They exchanged a few greetings, but nothing of note. Trifles such as how the priest had traveled from the other side of the earth by traversing its ley lines, and how the girl had altered his original path in order to lead him here. Apologies and explanations for her impudent action, as well as the reason why the priest could not possibly journey there at the present time. All of those were of secondary importance, unnecessary to discuss here. There was but one thing of value. I mean, that sounds pretty important. Knowing why he's here is pretty important, I think.
ではこれより、共に戦の続きを始めましょうか。
Ah, they're going to continue with the crusade. That one crucial point, and that alone. That they were preparing to finally unveil to the world the supreme performance that they had spent so many moons preparing. Yes. Now then. May the curtains of Grand Guignol rise. Is it Guignol? I can't. So many terms. There is no possible way. Was the writer of this so fluent in German? Slaughter. Butcher. Massacre. Till no more is left. Violate, conquer, and consecrate. Let there be victory. Let there be conquest. And thus...
神、これを欲したも。忠誠こそ我が名誉。
They would repeat their struggle as many times as necessary. They would continue fighting to the very limits of time itself. They had sworn to do so, and so they were bound to carry out this task. The young woman's recital of the oath of their holy crusade was met by the priest's own blessings. And so, on that night, in that forest, the legion that had vowed to destroy the world began to stir, unbeknownst to any Except us. We get to know about it. We finally reached the opening, ladies and gentlemen, mortals. Let's go! Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. "2006 Suwahara City." Now those 1939 Berlin. Oh, I wonder if we'll be getting flashbacks to that. We'll be getting flashbacks to what happened with these guys in the war. So we're going to be going both forward and back. Look at his right arm! Look at his right arm! It is as if he has a demon inside his right arm, as I have a demon in my right arm. Such power! Oh, that's the Lance of Longinus, I bet! I bet that's the Lance of Longinus. I know it's associated with Nazi Germany for some reason. I bet that's the Lance of Longinus that was used to pierce the body of Jesus Christ. I bet that's what it is! I bet that's what the golden guy was wielding. Yeah, this is the, that's the opening, I think. I think we just got past the preamble, the prologue. Yep, see? I couldn't actually access the title screen. We finally reached the title screen. That was the prologue. That was the prologue. That whole thing, that entire sequence, that was the prologue. We couldn't access this title screen until then. So obviously we want to hit new game, because of course we do. Oh right, because the way that they did this was they had new game, like they just had the common root of this completely for free. They had the common root of Dice Irae completely for free on Steam, and then they bundled the heroine roots that come off of it into 2 DLCs, each with 2 heroines. So I have them all because I got them on a Steam sale. But we're gonna start with the common root, obviously, because it would be foolish. It would be foolish not to start at the common root. If only time could just stop. It was impossible to truly determine the single greatest moment of your life until you were looking back on things from your deathbed, of course. But I was sure everyone had wished for something similar at least once. Yes, there's always that one moment where in it you just wish it would go on forever. It was only human to wish for fun times to continue, to want to relive a moment of glory, yes. Yes. It felt only human to wish to hang on to the here and now. Even should its brilliance eventually fade, that still beat losing it. The known was comforting, the unknown terrifying. Everyone must have experienced this sort of anxiety before. Especially students like me. Ah, yes, of course. Of course, it's probably going to be a, your unassuming Japanese high school student giving this internal narration. It was hardly unusual to experience this sort of feeling. After all, we were at the part of our lives where we had to start thinking about college, getting a job, and just the future in general. We were in the uneasy transition period between childhood and adulthood, so it felt only natural that we start obsessing with the mundane. We have gone from supernatural powers during the fall of supernaturally powered Nazis during the fall of Berlin, getting everyone in the city to kill themselves in order to power the Ark of the Covenant, I'm worried. I'm a Japanese high school student, and I'm worried about college in the future. What a shift. What a massive shift. It's like how when you do Fate Stay Night, and the prologue is, you know, goes into the whole deal of the Holy Grail War, and then when you actually start up your Shiro for a bit, and you just kind of get introduced to him, and you're just kicking it as a regular guy. One could call it living for the moment, a kind of escapism that arose when you didn't have both feet on the ground. For better or worse, it was the sort of infection that didn't really do anyone any harm. You could just write it off as another facet of youth. But I didn't want to ever get over this particular strain of measles myself. After all, my life up to this point had been more than comfortable. It might have been a boring, commonplace one, but I was fine with it continuing that way forever. If time flew when you were having fun, then the solution was simply not to have fun in the first place. It was best to steer away from the unknown and stick to the default path. Who knew what sort of trouble you might encounter on the road less traveled by? I am unsure about this as our protagonist. I hope he gets over it then, because oof, what a weak attitude. I was enamored enough of my current environment to actually entertain, more than entertain, in fact, ridiculous notions like that. To turn one's back on the unknown and seek only the known, you could describe it as playing a game while looking at a walkthrough. Well, it depends on the game and it depends on the walkthrough. That was my Ren Fuji's way of life. Always had been, and hopefully always would be. I figured that I could keep my internal sense of time set on slow if I kept up this line of thinking. Stopping time completely was impossible, after all. So you could consider this philosophy of mine to be a kind of compromise, the closest possible realistic approach. Hold on a sec, I just need to go scream off the side of the screen. I just need to... I can't... Hold on, I can't. I can't with this guy. Alright. I'm back. I think I should be. I should be back. I'm sorry about that, but you couldn't hear it because I muted my mic. But this guy! Oh, he's not my type at all. I much prefer those other people. Actually, I want to see what this arrow does, but I don't want it to skip anything, so we're going to hit a save. No comment at the moment. In order to see... Yes, that does what I thought it was. It lets us see the image, which should be very useful. I thought that I understood. That nothing lasted forever. That something being finite meant that its end could come at any time. If you truly understand that nothing lasts forever, then you would do your utmost. You would do your utmost to seek out. To seek out the unknown, to enjoy the moment as much as possible. You wouldn't do this whole set on slow thing. You want to have fun. You want to have fun because you won't always be able to have fun.
じゃあお前、例えば自分の人生を小説だと考えてみろ。
Up until the day where he had to go and say that.
漫画でもゲームでも何でもいいが、とにかく一人称語りで進む長編だ。自分をその主人公だと考えろ。
This guy just broke the fourth wall and he doesn't even know it, maybe, possibly. This is it. This is the realization that Ren Fuji's gonna come to, where he realizes that if his life was a book or a game or a manga, nobody would ever read it or play it or anything like that. Nobody would touch it. Everyone would hate it because it would be so boring. This is the kind of lesson I want to see. I like this guy already. I like this Bond guy already. He's so good. He's already helping to fix this character. A story that continues from the cradle to the grave. An epic saga that details each and every event and person that comes into your life, from the minute to the monumental. Think of life as something like that, he said.
そこで質問。今自分が続けてる小説は
Yes!
実際のとこ面白いのか
Yes!
主人公として
Yes!
お前はキャラが立ってるのか
Yes! This man! He's doing our work for... This man! This individual! He's doing it! This is exactly what we need! Because... Now, like, ask you... That's exactly it. You want the novel of yours to be worth reading, at least worth flipping through. You don't want to be boring. And luckily you mortals are not boring. Which is very good. As far back as I could remember, Shiro had a habit of suddenly going on and on about shit that didn't make sense like this. Most of the time it was just to try and get a rise out of me. Shiro is 1,000,000 times smarter than you, Ren. 1,000,000 times.
文法が怪しいとか語彙が貧弱だとかそういうスキルのこと言ってんじゃない。ただドラマとして売りになりそうな花なりトゲなり毒なりを持っているか
Yeah, just if you... Yes, exactly. Bite, spite, or spectacle. You gotta have something. You've got to have something. Anything. Anything. Just... And honestly, most people do. Most people do. This Ren Fuji, I feel, is the exception. Mortals I meet usually have interesting things about them. They make me want to read the story of their lives. But the Ren Fuji is just... No.
さらに同じジャンルを囲った中でも抜きん出ている何かがあるか
Yes.
自分がやらなくても他の誰かがやるような人生なら生き続ける意味はない。
Yes, you can't live in...
こんなところ
You
や
can't...
そんなところで
Yes!
誰でもできるようなジャンルやっててもしゃあないだろ。
Yes, there is no point in living the sort of life that anyone could live. You must live the life that only you can live. Only you. Everyone has a life that only they can live. You've got to go full speed ahead with that and live it to the fullest.
連れとだべってバカやって
What kind it is
女
doesn't
作った
matter.
り部活やったり悪くはないけど珍しくもない。そんなの日本中の同年代がリアルタイムで経験してる。俺は別に数が多いことをバカにしてるわけじゃないぜ。要はそれだけ選びやすい道だってことを
Ah,
言い
yes,
たいん
this
だ。
guy's standing up for the interesting outcasts.
選択肢があるように見せかけて実は人生一本道なのかもしれないってな。
In other words, what if we're not choosing, but instead being made to choose? Mortals! The world is governed by the law of fate. That's what was being talked about by the well, I guess they're not Nazis if they destroyed Berlin, but whatever, the superpowered German super soldier. The point is, Goldilocks. He said that.
少なくともこの国じゃ最大公約数が強いだろ。出る杭は打たれる、天才は孤独、はぶられるバカ、いじめかっこ悪い。なんでもいいがよ。まあそれは現実的な解釈で理屈つけた場合の話で。
This is already speaking to me. I hope you mortals are getting this, because this is quite something already.
デジャブルんだよ。これ前にもやったんじゃねえのかなって。楽しくないんだ。新鮮味がない。前にも読んだことある気がするんだ。
Wait a
こ
second.
の話。
What if this guy is the reincarnation of Goldilocks?
お前に協力してほしいんだ。
If he's the reincarnation of Goldilocks, then it would explain why he's doing this, because he's got deja vu. The Bernlin, yes.
フラグ立てとフラグ折りさ。言ってもわかんねえかもしれねえな。
Oh, and what was that supposed to...
だってお前好きだろそれ。何もかもが基地の範疇。1から10まで同じことを生まれて死ぬまで繰り返したい。そんな変人他に知らんし。そもそも俺の話に出てくるお前はなんかずれてるトリックスターみたいなもんなんだよ。
Ah, the trickster archetype. I could have said the same about him myself. Shiro was the sort of guy who was impossible to read, impossible to get a handle on. He certainly wasn't the type of character who should have been appearing in my story. So why did he sometimes feel like he was a central figure in it? Well, it's certainly you're certainly not a reincarnated duo or something like that. If we were going with the whole novel analogy, Shiro was a misprint.
そんなお前をここでどかせば話が変わってくるかもしれない。
Yes, yes, Shiro, kill him. Kill him right now. Knock him off the rooftop. Well, I guess, I mean, yeah, no, just throw him off. Throw him above the fence. Throw him above the fence off the rooftop. And then Ren will be gone and we can follow your adventures instead. Oh, the shoulders on that shirt are great. Yeah, look at that. Look at the fluffy ruffles. I also like that he's deliberately having his shirt unbuttoned, and it's just a neat look. This guy's got attitude.
仲をすんなよ。お前だってわかるだろ。俺らはお互いガキの頃にいろんなもんから弾かれてる。本来なら気楽に学園ドラマやってられるような身分じゃないんだ。
I'll take your word for it, Shiro. I don't know jack about either of you.
そしてだからこそ今までそれをやってきた。なのにデジャブが止まらない。
He does look chill. Look at him. He is the coolest. He looks like he could hang.
挫折もんだよ。泣きたくなる。だから根性なくて悪いけどよ。俺は抜けるぜ。もう付き合わない。
Ah, he's being crushed by everyday life.
人生は短い。エンディングが来る前に選択肢の総当たりをやらせてくれ。
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
この一本道、絶対どこかに別ルートがあるはずだ。俺はそれを探したい。
He's gonna shoot for it. Oh. I always take a pause where they're pausing as they finish the sentence, and I skip accidentally. I don't like it. I don't like doing that.
だったらここでお前と切れるってのもなかなか面白いと思うだろ。
If it's something new, then it's worth checking out either way. I had gotten sick of that grin on his face long ago. It was the sort of expression that seemed to say he had nary a care in the world, fitting, really. That was how I knew nothing I said would get through to him. Not like I knew what he was going on about in the first place, really. But one thing was for certain. Shiro's genre, or whatever it was about to diverge completely from my own.
死んだら化けて出てくれよ。俺まだ幽霊見たことねえし。
So I was prepared for what came next. So if they're the reincarnations of the two guys from Berlin, are they splitting up now? That's terrible. Oh, this is what happens. This is what happens when two friends cut ties completely. They brawl! A brotherly brawl. Fistfights normally can't go too far. After all, you'd be using your actual hands and feet as weapons. If they got fucked up, you were done. It only made sense to call it a draw when you ran out of ammo, so to speak. But Shiro and I were a little too stupid to let something like that stop us. Yes, they're just gonna keep on fighting. It's gonna be like the ending of Metal Gear Solid 4, where Snake and Ocelot are just pounding on each other. It's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be great. You couldn't even really call it a fight. We were both just trying to obliterate each other, plain and simple. What do you think a fight is, Shiro? No, Ren. I've been talking to Shiro too much. I don't care about Ren. I don't care about Ren as much. There was enough blood pouring down my face to make it seem like I was viewing the world through a red veil. We smacked each other around so much that our hands themselves broke. We even had bones poking out of our skin. Oh my god. When somebody sees you, they're gonna have some things to say. But we just kept at it. My eardrums had shattered long ago. I was lost in a world of noise and violence. I don't know how it is that one can have their eardrums be shattered in a fist fight. But I really hope that it has not... I really hope it never occurs to me or anyone here. Yeah, this won't have the you're pretty good, because this is at the start. This is at the start of the story. It's not at the end. My shoulder had dislocated itself. My chin was split in two. My ribs were bent and broken, piercing various internal organs for good measure. Here I was hacking up blood like it was going out of style, but Shiro seemed to be having the time of his life. I couldn't focus on anything but the way he exploded with laughter. Why did I end up like this? Funny thing, actually. Shiro is a lot like me then, because whenever I engage in combat, I have this tick where I laugh uncontrollably. When I studied martial arts, I was known. We all kind of. This was during ninjutsu, when I was learning ninjutsu, and when as a child, and this is like, it was a class you could sign up for, and I had everybody had a nickname, like someone's nickname was Sandman and stuff like that, and everybody had different ones. I was trained by my master's name was Fox. That was his nickname, and the thing is, I was kind of basically the Joker. Because whenever we did sparring practice, I was good at everything else, but whenever we did sparring practice, I just started laughing. It was uncontrollable. I couldn't help it. It was very hard to keep my stance up. And I don't think it was made by enjoyment. I think it was fear. I think it was nerves, it was tension. That anxiety. Anxiety is a good way. I was anxious whenever I sparred, and that anxiety led to laughing. So it's different from Shiro, but we do have that similarity. Now whenever I fight. Should I engage in fist fight with a demon, I will be laughing out of joy. Why did he need to take it this far? Well, obviously he's not going to understand if you don't tell him. I couldn't remember what he said after that, no matter how hard I tried. Well, you just stole a bit of the story from us, Ren. Thank you very much. Can't even remember things. All I knew was that we continued brutalizing each other until our bodies ceased to function. Ah, so you died and now you're a ghost. It wasn't a matter of one of us deciding to surrender or passing out or whatever. We just quite literally ran out of batteries. We had both taken too much abuse to keep our bodies going with sheer willpower alone. So what you're saying is, you passed out. It was no laughing matter. Our battered bodies were just lying there on the rooftop, drowning in a pool of our own blood. We probably would have died if no one had found us. Yeah, no shit. Honestly. But what did Shiro say? Ah yes, the joy of battle. He had fun. Seriously, how the fuck could he act like this was just some sort of game? Listen to me, dumbass. Can we just play as Shiro and beat the shit out of Ren? Like, can we beat the hell out of him? Don't act like you've triumphed over me, like you've gone on to the next level or whatever. Me? Come at you? Give me a fucking break. You're the one who needs to crawl out of the gutter and come at me, shithead. Jesus, Ren, chill. Grounded? I wouldn't be surprised if they were arrested for this. This is crazy. Or expelled or something. All right, let's nope. Oh, nope. I have to hit the escape key if I wanted to save. But now we'll read off it seems to be an injury list. Left cheekbones, upper jawbone, lower jawbone, right eye fundus, nasal bones, all varying degrees of fractured. Left collarbone, completely fractured. Upper left carpus and middle left hand bones, completely fractured. Right shoulder, dislocated. Right ulnar, metacarpus and carpal bones, completely fractured. Ribs 3 and 4 of the right rib cage, completely fractured. Ribs number 5 and 6 of the right rib cage, compound fractures. Ribs 4 to 6 of the left rib cage, completely fractured. Ribs number 7 and number 8 of the left rib cage, compound fractures. Right femur, partially fractured. Right tibia, left fibula, both metatarsals. This is everything! Completely fractured. Not to mention all the various sprains, bruises, cuts, and lacerations. In total, I had damaged 48 distinct locations. That is a lot. That is a lot. That is a lot. That is a lot, mortals. Yeah, They did make quite the mess. That poor janitor. Can you imagine that poor janitor that had to mop up all that blood? If you listed it out like that, it sounded like I got in a fight with a dump truck or something. I was surprised I even made it to the hospital in one piece. Of course you're surprised. You should be dead. Currently, I may prefer it if you were. To be honest, though, I would have been okay with dying. Okay, so you're on board with it too. Excellent. Let's go. Come on. Chop chop. Die so I can see Shiro's story. It wasn't that I had no regrets. I had just kind of reached this zen state. Like, if I was going to die, so be it. Maybe it would be better to say that I just stopped caring. That fight had been enough excitement for one lifetime. I lost the will to do anything, barely paying attention to the world around me. I stopped giving a shit about myself either way. So he became even more boring! He became even more boring! It did the opposite thing. This is terrible. This is awful. Despite my rather unhealthy mental state, my body recovered quickly enough to shock even the doctors attending me. More than a little ironic. Honestly, there was a part of me that wanted to laze around in that hospital a little longer, but I suppose there simply weren't enough beds to keep someone fully recovered lying around forever. The hospital staff told me that I needed to get out of there if I was well enough to be walking around. You were trying to monopolize hospital beds? What the hell? I really had no choice in the matter. I wasn't a fan of the idea of someone who actually needed care being turned away because of my selfishness. It was for the best that I complied with the staff's request. Yes. Yes. Regardless of my feelings, the world would keep on turning. They said that time stopped for no man, after all. No turning back. What was done, was done. Right now, the important thing was thinking about what would come next. It didn't matter whether or not I was capable of doing it. I had to face the fact that it was necessary, period. That was the only way I would ever be able to move forward. I'm confused. Are you going to start being interesting now, or... So I decided to walk out of there with a smile on my face, one way or another. I headed back to my room to pick up my things after taking care of the checkout procedure. Of course, the only real personal effects I had brought with me were some changes of clothes and an MD player. I had spent 2 months in the hospital room, but I figured cleaning it up would probably only take around 5 minutes. What's an MD player, mortals? Is that a mini-disc player? Does it stand for mini-disc player? There are so many formats that I'm not, that I can only guess at what an MD player is, but it sounds like it would be something that one played music on in 2006. It ended up taking 10 minutes, but same difference. The extra 5 were a result of having to clean up all the junk that Kasumi brought in while visiting. There were various comics, novels, and even adult magazines. I seriously don't know what she was thinking with these, scattered all over the place, more than a dozen in total. Ah, yes! Now, this Kasumi individual sounds great if she's bringing adult magazines to this hospitalized individual. Can't wait to meet her. Rather than dealing with them myself, I decided to just send them all back to her place. Wow. This guy is something. Who is he talking to? Yeah, there really are there really are so many formats of media that I myself used to have a VHS player, but if you ask a child today, they will have no idea what a VHS is, what a VHS cassette tape is. They simply won't know. The other patients in the same room made sure to get in a few last light-hearted jabs. I was never good at dealing with situations like this. I doubt anyone would call me the sociable type. But thanks to Kasumi, the other patients would often strike up conversations with me. It looks like you're being carried hard by this interesting character. Like, she seems way cooler than you. It would be awkward to just ignore them completely after all. My responses were always half-assed, but they didn't seem to mind. Hospitals generally had a kind of gloomy atmosphere about them, so it was only natural that someone cheery like Kasumi would draw attention. I'll make sure to tell her to consider becoming a nurse in the future. Yes. I took my bag and turned to leave. But at that moment...
ですか?
Shiro, being just as messed up as I was, had also been taken to this hospital. The bastard disappeared 3 days after his surgery and hadn't been seen since.
知らないですね。あいつがどこで何してようと。
No, I
俺には
want
関係あり
no.
ませんよ。
I want Shiro. Give me Shiro. Yeah, exactly. What Shiro was up to was none of my business. I needed to stop worrying about his bullshit. Well, it's more interesting than yours, Ren.
じゃあ、
I stepped out of the hospital room, putting it all behind me once and for all. It had been months since I had last been outside the hospital. The vast blue sky spread out invitingly above me. In the 2 months I had been hospitalized, autumn had turned to winter. I suddenly became curious as to whether they were already putting up Christmas decorations downtown.
まあ遠回りなわけでもないし。
So he's just gonna walk right to downtown. I decided it might be fun to experience my own version of the whole Rip Van Winkle experience. A 2-month Rip Van Winkle. I needed a change of pace from the dull scenery I had been stuck glaring at from the hospital window anyway. Maybe this would help me get back into the swing of things. Ooh, I hope he has a fated encounter. I like fated encounters.
って思ってたんだ。
Or so I thought. No, Ren, you have somehow found a way to ruin even this. Unfortunately, even downtown there was but the barest trace of the Christmas spirit I had been expecting. It made me realize again just how laid back Suwahara City really was. Suwahara was built back around the time of World War II. Despite being in an isolated location, it was nevertheless fairly prosperous thanks to the efforts on the part of the big shots in charge of the place. What Suwahara lacked in history and tradition, it made up for in tourist attractions. There was any number of facilities to draw in wide crowds with, such as an amusement park that was famous nationwide. You could call it a small-town success story. Of course, I only moved there 2 years ago myself, so I wasn't really one to talk. I was definitely a fan of the landscape and general atmosphere of the city, though. It seemed like a hectic place at first glance, but things moved slower in Suwahara than one might think. Once you got used to it, it was as relaxing as a baby's cradle. Of course, most people would tell you the exact opposite, that Suwahara was a lively place with a bustling atmosphere, but I did know a few other people who agreed with my assessment, such as Himuro and Shiro. It wasn't like you could really say that either line of thinking was right or wrong, though, and I didn't feel like trying to argue with people who disagreed. Live and let live, I guess. Yeah, why bother, right? Anyway, my first foray into the city in 2 months didn't end up changing my impression of it much.
帰るか。
Guess I'll just head home. Alright. Be boring. In the end, I just came to the boring conclusion that it was the same sitting as ever. You're killing me here, Ren. You're killing me here, Ren. Wait, no, right as I was about to head back. Mortals. 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 We're about to get a fated encounter. Oh, you get thirsty just sitting at the computer. Amazing, you can keep reading like this. It is certainly a workout. It is a workout for the throat. It is a workout for the throat and the lungs. But it's just it's so much fun, and my one skill is I think that I'm somewhat okay at talking. Well, obviously my one applicable to VTubing skill. You all know that I have incredible power and combat experience and all that. But yes, fated encounter time. Let's go. Who's it gonna be? Will it be best girl? Oh, it's not a fated encounter. It's somebody that he already knows, but she's probably gonna be cool anyway. It might be best girl anyway. Let's go. A piercing wail akin to the shrieking of a banshee rang out from behind me. So much for enjoying a quiet afternoon. She's so much better than you already, dude. Come on. It was at times like this why I questioned why I was even friends with this girl. Because if you weren't friends with this girl, we would not get to meet this girl. And obviously, while you don't deserve her, we do. So, let's go. In the first place, who would consider it a good idea to start yelling someone's name in the middle of the street like that? Somebody who doesn't care about your dumb, worrying about being noticed by people. She doesn't care. She has no reason to care.
お前ちょっと声でかすぎ。
退院おめでとう。ね、どう？
Yes, hit him. Hit him more. Hit him more. Hit him, Kasumi. So this is Kasumi. This is Kasumi. She's got the cool one of those really warm looking hoodies. And look at that hair. Very nice. Nice shade of brown. Love the ahoge.
何よその顔
Look at that smile. Look at that smile. This guy does not deserve her. I wanted nothing more than to tell her that yes, I was in a great deal of pain just now, as she had just walloped me something good on the shoulder, but I settled for just giving her a dirty look. Yeah, don't you talk back to her, I swear to God, Ren, or I will throw you under a bus. I will drag you to the fiery pits of Gehenna. Should you so much as say a mean thing to this girl? You're so inferior to her, you peon. Kasumi Ayase, my childhood friend of the same age. She was the head of the kendo club at our school, and you could probably tell by this incident she was rambunctious enough to have competed at the national level several times. Mortals. We may be dealing with a code tomboy. We may be dealing with a tomboy situation, mortals. This is not a drill. She's Genki. She does Kengo. She's an athlete. She does kendo, she's an athlete, she's got short hair. She's got a kind of a sporty look. This might be a code tomboy situation. We might be looking at a combination tomboy best childhood friend situation, which would be a strong contender for best girl. And here she was giving me the same wide smile as usual. I suppose this sort of upbeat attitude was one of her strengths, and not just that, she out of all the sports, yes, Reverend, tomboy alert! Sound the alarm! I need to get some sort of like setup for that. I need a button on my desk to press, to slam my fist down upon, because like everybody should be at their battle stations right now. But out of all the sports, she does kendo. She could kick Ren's ass with a sword. This is great. This is fantastic news. Kendo is so cool. Man. I will honestly, when it comes to winning and losing, when it comes to winning and losing, that's actually why one of my favorite manga is the 100 Girlfriends Who Really, Really, Really Love You. Because, which is kind of new. It only debuted in 2020, but it's one of my favorite because it is a harem manga in which they are all dating, and there are no losing girls. Every girl wins. Because it eliminates the problem of really great girls losing entirely. By having all the girls be great and all of them win.
何よいちゃ悪いの
Look at her eyes! Look at her eyes! You could get lost in those eyes. You could get lost in those eyes, mortal, as it's as if a spell has come over you. This is some really great character art up close.
悪いっていうか不自然だろ
Oh yeah, I highly recommend. I mean, if you go to my Twitter and scroll down, I'm pretty sure you'll find my info page down there. And well, obviously I recommend all the things I like. But all of the out of all the manga I listed as my favorites, several of them are currently ongoing, and I highly recommend it. So it's the middle of the day. Why wasn't she at school?
サボったのか
まあね
なんで
なんででしょう
Look at that! Look at that! Ren doesn't deserve such a gentle expression being cast upon him. Look at that gentle smile. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it and repent. Repent, Ren. Oh yeah, the premise of it is the guy's got 100 soulmates and he's got to make them all happy, or else all the ones he doesn't date will die. But it's surprisingly one of the best rom-coms that I've ever read. It handles everything quite well. Hell if I knew. I threw up my hands. She came to see you, you idiot!
私ね一刻も早くレンちゃんに会いたかったの
Look at that. Look at that. And also, another thing that I will say that 100 Girlfriends avoids that is directly relevant to this right now is oftentimes harem protagonists will be the most boring pieces of dirt. They will be... You'll be like, why are these girls into this guy? He sucks. Like, at the moment, Ren sucks. I'm sure he'll become cooler later, but at the moment, he sucks. Why is Kasumi into him? In 100 Girlfriends, the protagonist is an absolute legend that wants to make 100 that really loves his girlfriends and wants to make 100 girlfriends happy, and is an absolute madman. And so you can understand why they love him. But that's a real problem that I have with harem manga, which is why I read so few. I missed you, Kasumi, even though we've never met. Yes, the angry face, be more angry at him. Hit him with your stick. Oh man, if she ever gets into combat in this visual novel, she's gonna look great. There could be a great action CG of her. I hope she doesn't get relegated to the role of, that role of that one character that's just the normal friend of the protagonist that just doesn't ever get to do anything. I want this woman to kick ass. I was glad to see that her stupidity was in full form again today. You trying to get held back? Yep. VM protagonists don't have to start out as tools. I quite like Shiro Emiya. But you're right, a lot of them do. A lot of them do start out as tools. She said as she violently slapped me on the back. It hurt like a bitch. Good, I'm glad it hurts. She has so many expressions, so many wonderful expressions. What a girl, what a girl. Oh man, if this is the quality that they're bringing to the fore, I'm excited to see how high quality the other girls of Dice Irae will be, the other heroines. I wasn't exactly expecting her to skip school just to come pick me up, and it would have been a pain in the ass to wait around that long. I tried to explain my line of thinking, but Kasumi wasn't having any of it. Honestly, that's kind of reasonable. But at the same time... Definitely not. Yes, it is the worst when the cool girls don't actually get to do anything. It should not be allowed. Too much. That is some of the biggest... cool girls should get more action scenes. That is... Like some creators really know that, and they give us what we crave. But for some, it's like, no, they have to be this damsel in distress. They can't have cool moments. That's got to go to the dudes. Only the dudes get to be cool. Yes, be angry. Be angry at him. Yes, give him the verbal beatdown. The 1-2 punch. Yes, yes. Shiro is at the start of the Fate route. He's got some problems, but he's still fundamentally the guy's ideal is it's interesting at least. He starts out as interesting at least. Ren is boring at the moment. Kasumi snatched away my cell phone and began to tap away at lightning speed. So this is 2006. So this is in 2006, and if it's in 2006, then that means that they're probably those cool flip phones that Japan used to use for even longer than basically I'm pretty sure Japan used flip phones for even longer than the West did, but this is set in 2006, came out in 2007. The World Ends With You, which is one of my favorite games, is set in 2007, and everybody's using flip phones. They've changed it to smartphones in the anime that's coming out, which is a bit of a shame, because flip phones are cooler. Yes, yes. Yes. Beat the crap out of him. Yes. Beat the crap out of him. Ren, I need you to delete that number so she can beat the crap out of you. Why is it that everyone Ren talks to is somebody who is A, cool as hell, and B, I really want them to beat him up? She is not a crazed berserker, she's a beautiful berserker. She's a berserker of beauty. A violet flower! You gotta love her!
変えんなっていうかそれ頭痛が痛いと同じレベルの重複表
See? And she's calling you out on your terrible naming sense!
それくらい強調したいんだよ。そもそもヴィーナス名乗るなら少しは女の子らしい言葉を使ってくれ。
Yeah, because I remember, I think Mirai Nikki was 2011 and that was also flip phones. Ren, don't tell me you're going to do this dumbass thing of tomboys aren't girls. Don't tell me you're not that dumb, Ren. Look at her, she's Venus as hell. A hellish Venus. Yeah, Berserkers are beautiful in their own way. If we're talking about the Fate class card of Berserkers, best Fate girl of all time, in my humble opinion, is a Berserker. But, yeah, Berserkers are just generally, as a concept and also as the Fate class card, really cool. Whose fault do you think it is? I'm acting so bitchy, pretty boy. Yes, give it to me, Kasumi. This is exactly this is the good stuff. This is the good stuff. We need it.
私の手とかがっしり握ってありがとうかすみ君は僕の天使だよとかそういう感謝の一つや二つってほらこっち見る
Okay, guys. Mortals. I need you... I'm going to replay this voice line. I'm going to replay this voice line. And I need you to listen close. Because she does an imitation of him. You know when Japanese anime girls use their sexy dude voice. She does that. And it was dynamite. So we're gonna replay it. And listen out for the part where she's trying to sound like a dude.
本来ならこう私の手とかがっしり握ってありがとうかすみ君は僕の天使だよとかそういう感謝の一つや二つってほらこっち見る
Yes, that's the stuff. That was the stuff. That was the stuff. What a great gal.
あんたいきなり大怪我して入院して
Oh,
私心配して
oh,
毎日お見舞い行ったのに
oh, are
今
you
日の本人
seeing
は
it?
上の空で挙句勝手に退院してこんなところをプラプラしてるた何様ですか
Are you seeing it? She has a fang. She has a fang. She has a fang. She has a fang. This is great. This is great.
マジですかやる気あんのか
The
すぐ
nerves
やん
just
の
oh.
かこら
Oh yeah, Penth is good. Personally, for me, it's Kiyohime. But there are so many good berserkers. Penth, Fran. Basically, when they do a female berserker, they don't miss.
やる気も何も。
Kasumi, I need you to beat the hell out of Ren, please. Kasumi seriously needed to cool it before she popped a vein. She was the one acting unreasonable here. I want her to pile drive you into the sidewalk. Oh yeah, yeah. It's not a flesh fang. It's a real teeth fang. She could really bite you with it. Yes, yes. The goofy eye. Oh, the big eyes. It's a great face. It's a great expression. And also, yes, she keeps inclining. Kasumi coin just keeps going up and up. Invest now. You can't lose. Maybe she really would calm down if I actually did the whole my angel thing, but I really did not feel like going through with that. If you can't... Ren, if you can't even say to your girl that she's your angel, you're not a man. You're an ant. You're an ant.
そもそもあんたは
He doesn't deserve her. However, I did have just the thing to shut her
と
up.
りあえず、お前が病室に持ち込んだ諸々は家の方に送っといたぞ。
はい
Wait, what?
捨てるわけにもいかないだろう。だから家に送ったんだよ。気が利くだろ。
注意待ちそれ全部
Ah, so he did this as an act of malice because for some reason it's not good if Kasumi receives them at her place. Maybe parents that'll yell at her or something like that.
そう、全部。
その待って待って
Oh, right. Oh, right. Look at this.
どっち
The
の方
comics, the books, and of course the magazines full of naked ladies. This is a tomboy that if you were hospitalized, not only would she visit you every day, she would bring you adult magazines. They're gonna have to try really hard to top this. They're gonna have to try really hard to top this for best girl. This is a powerful starting level.
実家
Oh, so he's going to let her mother see it because he is an ass.
冗談だよね
Yeah, the voice acting in this game is really great. It's really great.
冗談は
Visual novels.
苦手だな
Visual novels can have some of the greatest voice acting, I feel, because there's so much emphasis on it. Because there's no animation to focus on. You just gotta. It's just the voice. And there's so much of it to get through. I've got a lot of respect for voice actors that do work for VNs.
マジで
Yeah, you know, I suck at telling jokes. It's
マジだ
Oh no. It would be a sad day indeed for Mrs. Ayase once she received the package and learned what exactly her daughter had been buying. So you were trying to cause a rift between your friend and her mother because you are an ass. I mean, it did get her to make this really cute noise, so there is some value in it, but it's still a dick move.
あんた最悪
I mean, that's just a plus. That's just a plus, Michael Bailey. A girl who can put you in any hole she wants. That's a plus. That is entirely a plus. I don't care who you are. That's a plus. A plus. Look at she's got the dead white eyes with the black circles, the comedy eyes. Oh no.
買うの恥ずかしかったのに
Yeah, she was doing that for you, you selfish dick. She was like, hey, I want to cheer up this guy that's in hospital and nearly dead, so I'm gonna buy him some naughty magazines, which is such a bro move. But you have to poison it.
じゃあ買うなよ
でもあのさ役に立った
See, she totally, like, goddamn, man. She's giving you the signal and you're ignoring it. You stupid harem, like, you are basically a harem protagonist, the clueless harem protagonist at this moment, Ren. Look at this. Now that she mentioned it, the other patients in the room with me had been big fans of those magazines. No, don't you see? Ren's going after the mom. It's the classic play. Don't endanger my daughter's future. I'll take her place. Well, then the only... Oh, yeah, that... Man, if only Ren was as interesting enough to go for the Oyakodon. If only Ren was interesting enough to go for the Oyakodon. The mother and child. That combo. It's a pun on a bowl dish. But... That's another thing about 100 Girlfriends that I was talking about earlier. That manga, what got me into it was there was like a forum thread that mentioned Oyakodon, and I was like, what? But it does. It has it. It has it. It has confirmed. It has confirmed Oyakodon in it. It has one of the girlfriends is the mother of one of the other girlfriends, and it somehow it still works. It's very great. I mean, we don't want to punch Ren. We want Kasumi to punch Ren. They didn't pester me while they were occupied with them, so I guess you could say I got use out of them after all. You know what she's talking about. Yeah, but you didn't. You didn't. You're lying to her. She wants to know whether you use them to, and you're saying, yeah, but you actually didn't. Don't mislead her.
嘘本当にあんたそんなやつだったの
See, she's surprised because it doesn't fit your image because you are lying to her and you're a terrible person.
どんなやつだよ
Yes, the life and death combo meal. Anybody who goes for that combo is a hero, a legend. They deserve our respect and our admiration. Even I, a powerful being, I'm not sure if I could manage it.
ちょっと具体的にどの号の何ページが役に立ったの？試しに言ってみなさいよ。
Look! Look! She wants to know which issues and what pages were the most helpful. Because she wants to figure out what his type is so she can appeal. This is a girl that really wants to get it on with you, dude. What are you doing? Oh, the first choice. Okay. Okay. This is gonna be something. Save, obviously. Please have Kasumi pile drive Ren into a concrete sidewalk. Oh, only 20 characters. Well then, Kasumi, best. So far. Okay, so we'll just so the game wants us to the game is on the side of Kasumi. For now, of all time. But yeah, Kasumi is being way more blunt than most clueless harem protagonists, than the signals most girls give to the clueless harem protagonists. Kasumi is basically going, yo, I gave you a naughty magazines, I want to know which were the most useful. Like, that is as clear as you can get. And he's still not picking up on it. So, we want to go for her, if this is going to affect things. So, while this is the truth, it may hurt our chances with her. So I'm going to go for the cosplay stuff. Let's go. Ah! Look at this! Look at that! She's got a... Oh, well, look at that. Is that... I can't tell if that's... I think that's a short skirt with the hoodie over the top of it. Look at that! And look at her sleeves! Her cute sleeves! Very nice. She really makes the pastel pink work. The light in Kasumi's eyes went out. Oh no! Did we screw it up, guys? Models, did we screw it up? No. Excuse me for a moment. Excuse me for a moment. Kasumi, why? Why, Kasumi? Kasumi, why? Oh, Kasumi, no. Alright. Okay, we'll get through this together. We'll get through it together.
Oi.
いやいやごめん今のなし。私は別にいいけどね。レンがどんな趣味してた？
Oh no! No, it isn't any of her business. Oh.
とにかく怪我が治ってよかったじゃない。僕こことか。
I'm distraught. Mortals, I'm distraught. I'm distraught. I smile to hide the pain, but I hurt inside. Shiro had been wearing armor rings during our fight, so my cheeks were cut up to hell and back when I first entered the hospital. Was he wearing knuckle dusters? When he punched you in the face? That's pretty metal. That is pretty metal, immortals. I didn't really care if it left scars or not myself, but Kasumi got so worked up over it while I was recovering that I kept my face covered in bandages just so that she would shut up about it. Oh, did I? Oh no, did I forget to mute my mic when I was... Oh no. Oh, so embarrassing. So embarrassing. I didn't... Oh no. I'm so embarrassed right now. Mortals, you've seen a shameful side of me. Oh, but... Ah, Kasumi! Kasumi! Look at that! Look at that kindness, that concern! She's complimenting you, you dick! Take the compliment! Back when I was a kid, I used to get mistaken for a girl all the time. Unpleasant memories, to say the least. And even as a teenager, it still happened from time to time, despite the fact that I was hardly short or anything. Scouts trying to recruit female models had called out to me on the street more than one occasion. Definitely the kind of thing that dealt a blow to your pride as a man. Did Kasumi become infatuated with him after learning he could slug? Maybe that explains things. Well, it did seem that Ren gave to Shiro as good as he got. So he can punch. So he can definitely punch. So I don't know how that would connect everything up, but yeah, that might be. That might be why she likes Ren. It's certainly the most interesting thing about him, the fact that he can hit things. I decided to let Kasumi have a piece of my mind. She cares about you. This game truly has a whole load of expressions. So more sprites than I was expecting. I don't think I've seen this many sprites used for a character in a visual novel before. Also, I just want to say I'm jamming out to this background OST. It's very nice. It's very good BGM. She's straight up inviting him. The power move, the power play. Ah! Ah! I can't believe it. Did you see that, mortals? He just got asked out on a date by someone as cute and earnest and best as Kasumi. And bam! Right out of the gate, shot down. He just refuses. What garbage taste this man must have. Ah! Now she's exhibiting a hint of tsundere. I wasn't sure I understood what was going on inside Kasumi's head at that moment, but that was probably for the best. You are an idiot. Say it with me, mortals. You are an idiot. Everything is this man's fault. Everything is. Yeah, yeah, a nice day out on the town. He literally went out here to try and break the monotony and experience something and be like, you know, I want to have some nice stuff. And then he was like, oh no, I guess I'll just go home the boring way. And then a nice day out on the town, he just turns it down. This is how garbage taste he is.
Nani?
Why bring up Himuro here? Oh, now whoever this Himuro is, if she ordered Kasumi to go on a date with Ren, then she is pretty like. That's a pretty helpful thing. My gratitude to this Himuro. The hell, what on earth was she thinking? At least he isn't freezing frogs to death yet. Yeah. He doesn't seem as bad as the Muv-Love protagonist, which is a small messies. Small messies.
そりゃあだって断ったら怖いじゃない。
Wait, so the date thing might just be an order, but she's clearly into him, with the magazines and stuff. I wouldn't describe Himuro as scary. I mean, she was the type that was a little hard to get a handle on, but still.
デートね。
レイは嫌なの？
嫌ってわけじゃないけどな。
Oh, it's not that. Then what is it? Is it the fact that you are a sack of nothing? Just that I didn't know where we'd even go. Like, just going to the amusement park with Kasumi didn't feel like anything special. If it doesn't feel like anything special because you get to go to the amusement park with Kasumi all the time, I swear to... Oh, I will put you through a window! You lucky son of a gun!
俺、大して金持ってないけど。
私もないわよ。
I was about to tell her that we should just forget about it, but Kasumi suddenly started fishing around in her bag.
でも大丈夫。先輩、その辺は卒のない人だから。
Ah, so it's gonna be a senpai type whenever we see her.
チケット2枚。
She pulled something out. It's tickets! They have date tickets! Himuro had provided us with tickets to the local museum, not exactly what you'd expect a teenager to pick. So did this mean that the whole date thing was already set in stone?
ほら、そいじゃ行くよ。
It would seem the answer was yes, and a good thing too. If it wasn't for the concerted efforts of two separate girls, we would not have gotten this date. Thank you to Himuro. Thank you to Kasumi. Truly we are blessed. Ren does not deserve them.
けどお前、芸術に興味なんかあったっけ？
The museum was located away from the main streets. While we were on our way there, I asked Kasumi something that had been on my mind. It wasn't a huge museum or anything, but it was a fancy sort of place that frequently held exhibitions for painting, ceramics, and the like. It didn't seem very Kasumi to me.
似合わないって？
どうだか。ただ、先輩ならハマるかもな。
なんかそれ、私が非生産的なやつみたいで嫌なんですけど。
お前何か生産できたか？
料理作れるよ。
She can cook! Another great quality. It's not necessary, but it's good to have. Was that really so special? Not that I was one to talk. Cooking and me went together about as well as oil and water. Then you are not one to talk! You don't get to throw shade! I myself can barely cook, and I have great respect for people who do. So you just going, oh, you can cook, that's not special at all. It is a skill. Everything is a skill. Even things that people take for granted are skills. You should have respect for people's skills. What is wrong with you, you garbage person?
とりあえずお前の料理は置いといて。結局何がコンセプトの展示なんだよ。
見てわからない？
Kasumi flashed the tickets at me, a wicked gleam in her eye. Frankly, the text on the tickets was printed so large that it would have been impossible not to notice, but
一応確認だけど。
I was still holding up hope that I was just seeing things, because if I wasn't, then it meant we were straight on our way, straight... Hold on. Because if I wasn't, then it meant we were straight our on way. Ha ha ha! Oh, the mortals translating this screwed up. They swapped on and our, so it should be straight on our way. We were straight on our way to a gala featuring an assortment of objects I was not interested in seeing. Unfortunately.
世界の刀剣博物館。
Yeah! Best girl! We're gonna go see swords! That's great! Yes! I don't even have any good skills. You know, like nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills. Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills. Is that a quote for something, or is it just off the top of your head? Either way, that's very funny. My hopes were thoroughly crushed. There was no way to treat someone who just got out of the hospital. This actually isn't a fan translation. It's official. It's a whole big deal. It's an official localization. It was a big deal. It's not something like Fate Stay Night where the only way to get it is fan translated. This was no way to treat someone who just got out of a hospital. Yes, someone ordinarily, but you suck, dude. So No sympathy. Eventually we reached the museum, though Kasumi had to basically fight me tooth and nail the rest of the way there. I'd spare you the details of her dragging me around the place after we got there. I'd prefer not to remember. I haven't seen Napoleon Dynamite. And so... Hey, come on. Look at this! Look at all these cool weapons! Yes! Yes! The Shiro Emiya in me is quite pleased. Kasumi muttered in exasperation while looking at a Nepalese knife known as a kukri. I couldn't help having a sour look on my face. The mere sight of these kinds of blades had made me nauseous for as long as I could remember. Ah, you're too weak to even... Oh, you're too weak to even look at swords. This guy! This guy. Why did she take me here in the first place? She knew full well I wasn't good with sharp objects. Probably to punish you for being terrible. Which I can agree with. It's not like they bite, you know. How do you hit that? Like, yeah, exactly, exactly. She's right about it. Her tone was genuinely curious. Unfortunately, this wasn't something I had a clear answer for. I have an answer. You're terrible. Hating caterpillars is a much more, like, reasonable thing. Like insects. I don't like insects. Oh wait, she likes caterpillars. Okay. So that's even better. Oh, she'll smash cockroaches for you. What an excellent girl. You know, some people will be like, oh no, a cockroach. Oh, someone get it, someone get it. But she'll just kill it. She'll just murder it without any hesitation. What a gal. Ah, having a snake wrapped around you. Yes, this girl is cool. This girl is cool. It's the law of this kind of thing. The people around the MC are always more interesting than him, but she just takes the cake. If a girl takes you to see antique weapons from around the world, you propose to her on the spot. What a casual. Yes! Yes, especially if it is Kasumi. Especially if it is Kasumi. You must do that if you are a man. But he's not a man, he's an ant. This fool is an ant. Wonderful. I suppose I was wrong to expect a girlish response out of Kasumi in the first place. Yes, because she is, as we all know, Apex Tomboy. Apex Tomboy. Peak Tomboy. So good. So right. Whatever the case, these things just didn't sit well with me. Little Miss Kendo over here might have found the blades on display fascinating, but I was definitely not having a good time. Yeah, man, suggest something. Don't be like, oh, let's go home. Make a move. Any move. Yeah, you just have to... Listen, I know, I understand, man. I understand how easy it can be to be like, you're not going to find me, you don't find me interesting. I know how easy that can be. Like, why would anyone find me interesting? You don't really want to spend time with me. But if somebody is already... Like, if somebody didn't want to spend time with you, they just straight up wouldn't. Nobody is trying to, like, trick you or anything like that. So she really wants to spend time with you. You've just got to go for it. That's a lesson. You just got to go for it. If somebody is really spending time with you, they genuinely want to spend time with you. They're genuinely interested in you. It doesn't matter if you think you're interesting or not. They think you're interesting. So, you know, just stop talking negative about yourself and do something. Make a move. She was telling me this. He is beyond help. Only a supernatural event will save him. Kasumi heaved a deep sigh. I was beginning to think that she actually understood, but... Yeah, only one more lap. That's very reasonable. She's acquiescing to your demands, but you're gonna complain and be like, a whole nother lap? Oh, I'm a terrible, terrible garbage ant. No, of course she didn't. She's adorable! And so we ended up taking one more lap around the museum. I did my best to avoid looking directly at any of the blades on display. I wasn't sure I could really explain exactly why I had this thing against blades, but it wasn't because I felt scared of them. Maybe they just weren't compatible with me. He's the anti-Shiro Emiya, I see. I didn't want to have anything to do with him, period. It just felt like mixing Ren Fuji and bladed weapons was a bad idea, like putting ketchup on a donut. Keeping my distance was a smart move if I wanted to maintain the peace and harmony in my life. In a way, they almost reminded me of Shiro. Yes, swords remind me of Shiro too, but a different Shiro. Yeah, he's just the worst, guys. Mortals, you all agree. Mortals, you're not even close to being as bad as Ren. Don't sweat it. But like, one's always got to be on the watch out for being as dumb as Ren. One's got to be like, okay, am I being dumb? Am I Ren Fuji? No. Good. Everything is excellent. Carry on. I shook my head. Reminiscing about that guy was the opposite of a productive activity. I was on a date after all. Worrying about Kasumi would be a better usage of my time. Not that I had much confidence in managing that either, but it would be the polite thing to do. Yes, he's gonna do it. He's gonna make a move.
Oh. Nani? どうかした?
Oh yeah.
What is this? What is this? What? What is this? What is this?
Ren?
Oh, she's concerned about him. I strained my ears. The museum was quiet enough that it should have been easy to make out the voice I had heard, assuming it wasn't my imagination. It was coming from this direction.
ちょっと待ってよ。どこ行くの?
Yeah, that is true. Like, psych yourself up in the mornings by waking up and thinking, well, at least I'm not Ren, so I'm doing pretty good. Use it as a positive motivator. So he's just ditching her. I ignored Kasumi and ran off. I wasn't quite sure myself why I felt so compelled like this. There was no clear reason to concern myself over some voice in the distance. Listen, if you're ever supernaturally drawn away from your date in looking at swords with an apex tomboy, while you're running away, what you should do, for the record, if you guys are ever in this situation, what you should do is grab her hand as you're running, and then the two of you will arrive at whatever destination is together, and she will still be a part of things instead of it just being your boring self. And also, you will not have abandoned your apex tomboy. Either way, I found myself drawn to the spot the voice was coming from. Perhaps it would have been more accurate to say I was guided there, even. I found myself in an obscure corner of the museum, the sort of place you'd never come across if you were just taking the normal route through. Normally, you wouldn't think there would even be an exhibit piece somewhere out of the way like this, and yet here it was. There it was.
Guillotine?
Ah, he's being called to the guillotine so he can chop off his own head. I was sure everyone had heard of a guillotine, the execution device used for beheadings. This exhibit wasn't an entire guillotine though, just the blade used for the beheading itself. The blade before me had distinguished itself from the rest of the exhibits by demonstrating a cold simplicity. There was nothing glamorous or decorative about it. This was a lump of steel, designed for the sole purpose of beheading with ruthless efficiency. You'd likely not find a more suitable tool for its task. Why was something like this even on display? It was a blade, yes, but it differed from anything else I had seen today on a fundamental level. It might have held some historic value, but it wasn't a weapon or an implement of some ritual. More than anything, though, I wanted to know why I'd found myself drawn to it, so you can use it to die. Oh, Kasumi followed! Yes, we still get Kasumi. Kasumi had finally caught up with me. She took a glance at the guillotine from over my shoulder. Boys? Boys?
Board Justice. 正義の柱。ギロチンの正式名だよ。あと、フランス語な。
It's Boy de Justice. Boy de Justice. It's French because it's a guillotine.
それから、マクシミリアン・ロベスピエール。知ってるだろ ?18 世紀の政治家だけど。
Only briefly. I know basically nothing about Robespierre.
恐怖政治の?
そう、そいつに使ったものだって書いてる。
Robespierre was a key figure during the French Revolution, the man responsible for sending those opposed to the Reign of Terror to the guillotine. Ironically, his end would come by the same device that he employed upon so many of his political opponents, and the bourgeoisie. This was supposed to be from back then?
なんかうさんくさいな。信憑性はなさそうだ。
Yes, yeah, you'll always in media you'll find these little tidbits. I've learned a lot from games and visual novels and anime. Even if it's not always all correct sometimes, it's fun to learn.
でもそんな風に書かれてるとなんか嫌な感じだね。
同感だ。
Authenticity aside, the idea of putting something like this on display was simply in bad taste to begin with. How to put it? The whole thing felt too raw. The object on display here was a tool of execution, nothing more and nothing less, so perhaps it was only natural that...
これどれくらい殺したのかな。
I mean, most of the, swords are a thing used for killing people. The guillotine killed way more people because of how efficient it is. But it doesn't matter if a blade has killed one person or killed 100 people. It is still stained with blood. It's an implement for killing. One would find themselves asking that question, precisely because the lack of an ornament present in the other exhibits made its nature as an implement of death apparent.
あまり不謹慎なこと考えるなよ。これは興味津々に拝むようなものじゃない。
そうだけど、そもそも見つけたのはそっちじゃない。
誰だって嫌なものには敏感なんだよ。
Okay, now Ren, listen very closely to me. I need you to kind of scoot forward and put your head under that thing. Rivers of blood, screams echoing into the distance. All sorts of visions of death ran through my head when looking at this thing. It wasn't often you found something that so clearly embodied the negative side, the original intent of a blade. So this is some kind of blade philosophy? Given that Robespierre's name was attached to it, it had to have been from the 18th century. If it had really been used during the French Revolution, it was safe to say that it had executed hundreds of people. Some would actually describe the guillotine as a merciful form of execution. It was designed to sever heads at exactly the right angle and velocity to ensure the criminals were met with a swift, painless death. This is true. Much better than hanging. But it did... The pro is much less painful than hanging. Like, some less things can go wrong. The con is, because it increases the efficiency, it meant more people could be executed. That is the long and short of it. An instant death delivered at lightning speed. There was a reason some called it merciful. It's easy to get the wrong impression from the rivers of blood and mutilated corpses the guillotine produced, but for someone facing execution it was probably far preferable to being hanged. Well, assuming that the victim died before they had a chance to feel the pain of being decapitated, that is. I'm pretty sure you can't feel the pain of being decapitated if you're just a head. I'm pretty sure if you're just a head, you die pretty much instantly. I'm not familiar. I don't know the exact timing on that. I found myself thinking about exactly the sort of thing I just told Kasumi not to.
行こう。正直気分が悪くなってきた。
そうだね。ごめん。顔色悪いけど大丈夫？
Oh, Kasumin, you have a healing presence. You have a healing presence. You really... They said... The people in the hospital said that you should become a nurse. And, like, I feel like that would really suit you. Before I could get the word ill out... Huh? What is this? Supposedly there's full-body phantom pain for a few seconds before death. That is terrifying. It is a good thing I do not need to fear death. Why did I react the way I did? If only I hadn't paid attention. If only I had ignored it. If only I hadn't looked at it. If only I hadn't spun around to face that dreaded blade. I would have never had to hear the cursed words borne forth from the ethereal figure standing in front of the guillotine. How could she have known that? What did she mean we were the same? The girl standing before me had skin of purest white, yet that beauty was irrevocably stained, tarnished, by a violent streak of crimson across her neck. I almost wanted to believe it was some sort of necklace, but no. The jagged pattern was unmistakably the scar of a decapitation would create. Looking back on things later, I would be able to say that this was where it had all begun. Does my present live up to your expectations, Zarathustra? And thus we met, brought together by him. This is a... Yep. I feel like this is a stopping point, because we got through the prologue and we just... either we cleared chapter 1 or we've started chapter 1 in earnest. I feel like we should stop there. Because we've been going for... Like visual novels are massive time sinks. We've been going for, 2 hours and 36 minutes, if my timer is right. Which is longer than I expected to go. But we made a lot of progress. This was great. If I can hold on, where's the Yep. Oh, I'll just save real quick too. Oh, nope. Save over number 2. Oh, save. Kasumi still best. There we are. Yes, we're gonna be stopping here. Thank you, everyone, for coming. All that. If I do this, there we are. Yep. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for coming and watching me read Dice Irae. This was surprisingly gripping. Great art, great music, great characters except for the protagonist, so I'm sure will become better in the future. I'm looking forward to reading the rest of this with you, and the descriptions sometimes when I can go full dramatic reading. It lights a fire in this steel heart of mine. Yes, it appeals to my soul. And there's no one else, mortals. No one more than you that I would rather read it with. This was a lovely time. But yes, we'll get caught up in. I'll get caught up in saying goodbye forever at this rate. I always get worried about, you know, going on too long saying goodbyes because I want to read the but I can read any goodbye messages in the live chat afterwards. So I'll end the stream now. But thank you so much for coming, and goodbye. Otsukamain or such things like that. Thank you very much for visiting my cursed abode.